You know when you're walking and you're wearing jeans, right? Like skinny jeans. You feel your pants start to like rub against your leg. Whatever, it's skinny jeans. For whatever reason, you look down at your legs because, you know, you don't want to like trip over your own foot. And the seam of your pant leg is in front of your shin. You're walking and then this, and you're just like, why? You start walking and you're like, oh yes, I'm going to lean this way instead. It doesn't do anything. And it only happens on one side. It's only just one pant leg, and that's all. I don't know why. I don't have a reason for it. You fix it, and then like 2 minutes later, you go and you look down at your feet again. Boop, back there. Never mind. So anyway, I moved my scarves. Last week, I was sitting this way, right? And there's like a hole in the wall, but it's not actually a hole. It's just like the plaster is missing off of it. And it's because, probably, my best guess, some kid decided to, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like stick a command hook on the wall. And then at the end of the year, they're like, oh shit, I don't know how to take this off. So they just like ripped the whole thing off and then took the plaster with it. That's my story of what happened. This last week, my roommate and I, we went to Fred Meyer's. Cassie and Kiana, the two next door neighbors, and then Sarah next door. Sarah drove us, which was fantastic, so we didn't have to walk like a mile. I know, God, a mile. It's not that far. And we got lights, which is fantastic. And then we also got a rug, so now our room actually feels like a room and not a prison cell, which is fantastic. As soon as we put the lights up, we were like, we need more lights. So a couple hours later, the 5 of us went back to Fred Meyer and we're like, okay, now that we got more lights, we're hungry, let's go get hamburgers. And thus we started Saturday family game nights. We ate our burgers, played card games. At some point, we decided, let's go Pokemon hunting. And we wanted to get some sort of caffeinated beverage. So I went to 7-Eleven. Cassie's Apple Pay wasn't working. And then we were like, yeah, let's go to Safeway. They probably have the same stuff. So we were at Safeway and Cassie was in line. Her Apple Pay was still not working. There were like 7 people behind her in line. No, there literally were 7 people behind her in line. Finally, some guy was just like, hey, let me pay for this so that you can be on your way and these other people can go home. So while we were sitting around drinking our caffeinated beverages, Sarah was like, what if we just went to Denny's or something along those lines? Everyone else was like, oh yeah, that would be really funny. And then we thought about it and we're like, well, Denny's is in Yakima. Depending on how fast you drive, it takes about 40 minutes to get there. Sarah was like, hey, I have a car. I can drive. Let's go to Yakima. And we're like, okay, that's a funny joke. Yeah, let's go to Yakima. And so we drove to Yakima, which was really funny. We actually went to Denny's and ordered food. And we didn't get back until like 2:30 in the morning. And then yesterday, which will technically be 2 days ago, I got to perform with John Clayton. If you don't know him, he's an incredibly well-versed bass player in both jazz and classical music, and he's just so talented and wonderful to be around, and he's so inspiring. It was fantastic. I loved it. As well as a student, I also work as a recording technician. So I was working that concert, which was really cool. So afterwards, we were doing teardown. We're putting stuff away. We're trying to get things done. There are some other students who are like, hey, can we do anything to help? And one of my coworkers, he's like, yeah, can you take the main speakers back to the jazz room? And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. These main speakers, they're maybe like 3 feet tall. They're a good like 65 pounds. This ensues. You go to the jazz room. There's like a pull cart right outside of the room. You take the pull cart, go down the hallway, make a turn, go through 2 doors, and then you're in the recital hall. So you go over to one of the main speakers, pick up the main speaker, put it on the cart, push the cart over to the other side of the stage, get the other main speaker, take the main speaker, put it on the cart, take the cart, go out the doors, down the hall, turn, go through the jazz room doors, just take both of the speakers and put them on the floor. Just take them off the cart and put them on the floor. That's all they had to do. They ask again, like 5 minutes later. We have all of our equipment like packed up. We're ready to take it back to the recording studio, which is right across from the jazz room. And we're like, yeah, you want to take the main speakers back to the jazz room? Didn't we just ask you to do this 5 minutes ago? For whatever reason, 5 minutes later, the same people come back. They're like, hey, can we do anything to help? And we're like, yeah, take the main speakers back to the jazz room. It's not that hard. So finally, I walk back into the recording studio. My coworker's in there. He put everything away and he was like, oh yeah, did the main speakers ever get back to the jazz room? And I was like, actually, that's a good question. So I go back into the recital hall to go check. The hall is completely empty except 2 main speakers sitting on the stage where I put them 5 hours before. So I go out to the jazz room, get the cart, pull the cart through, hit like 5 people on the way because I'm just so frustrated at this point, push the cart through the recital hall, load up the main speakers, and then push it back to the jazz room. As I'm walking through the doors of the jazz room, there are a couple upperclassmen in there just hanging out. They look at me and they're like, I'm not that tall. I'm maybe 5'6". I don't weigh that much either. I am just bone and flesh and some muscle. That's what's left of my body since I started college. They're looking at me like, Jesus Christ, this child is trying to carry these 65-pound main speakers onto the floor. It's not that far. It's maybe like half a foot to the floor. You pick it up, you put it down. It's not that bad. They're like, Zacarra, did you do all that by yourself? And I was like, yeah, it's not that hard, you guys. And they're like, okay. And I was like, sorry, these guys said that they were gonna help. They didn't help. My coworker walks back into the jazz room. He helped me. And then I rolled the cart outside very angrily. Yesterday when it was snowing and you were just like, oh my god, I love the snow. And I was like, oh yeah, no, it's really cool. It's great. And you're like, it makes the sky so gray. Oh my god.
It's like so like, I don't know, it's so pleasing to look at it when the sky's just gray, all gray.
Depressing as hell, yeah. Oh my god, I love looking at the gray sky. It reminds me of my soul.